In today's video, we're going to talk about gradient maps, a useful tool to dynamically change the colors of a picture in just a few seconds. Clip Studio Paint gradient maps can be easily applied at any stage of a project and drastically change the appearance of a design. This tool replaces each shade in the image according to its luminosity level using a gradient. The gradient map can be of any kind, from grayscale to color, and it can be edited, adding further variations or color steps. The adjustments are reversible and can be fine-tuned at any time. What is a gradient map? As mentioned in the intro, gradient maps are a Clip Studio Paint tool that helps artists switch the color of an illustration using a chosen gradient. This works by comparing the whole lightness spectrum of the underlying image and changing it dynamically with the colors chosen in the gradient map. The darkest tone of the image will assume the aspect of the colors on the left side of the gradient map and gradually turn into the colors going to the right as the tones of the image become brighter. How to add a gradient map? Adding a gradient map can be achieved in two different ways, depending on the specific need. The first method is pretty straightforward. Switch to Studio Mode, select the layer you want to apply the gradient map to from the Layer tab, and go to Edit, Tonal Correction, and then Gradient Map. This will open the Gradient Map dialog window, where we will be able to change all the options for this tool. The quickest approach is to pick a gradient from the Gradient Set list, which is a series of pre-made gradients that cover commonly used color combinations. Once we picked the gradients, we can preview the results directly on the image in real time. Then tap OK to confirm and apply the changes. The second method is non-destructive and can be very helpful to have a smaller and reversible control over the effects. In this case, we will go to Studio Mode, select a layer from the Layer tab, then go to Layer, New Correction Layer, Gradient Map. This will create a new layer above the selected layer and open the familiar Gradient Map dialog window. Once you have picked a gradient, tap OK. A new layer will be created with the Gradient Map. You can edit or hide this layer at any time. Using a non-destructive gradient map layer helps in many ways. For example, we can turn the visibility of the gradient map on or off, and so preview the before-after look of our image at any time. It's also always possible to double-tap on the gradient map layer and edit it further in case we need to fine-tune our adjustments. Furthermore, applying a gradient map as an adjustment layer allows us to change its blending mode, like when using a normal layer. The effect of the gradient map, once its blending mode has been changed, can drastically transform the look of an image and can be used in very powerful and creative ways. Like for any layer, the opacity of a gradient map adjustment layer can also be controlled from 0 to 100%, which helps to make it blend better with the rest of the base picture. Now that we know how to apply gradient maps in both reversible and permanent ways, let's take a look at all the options in detail. Gradient Map Options. The Gradient Map dialog window can be used to pick up a gradient from the pre-made gradient sets. However, it also has many options to fine-tune each part of the gradient. Let's take a look at the options one by one. You can find the currently selected gradient map at the top of the window. There are a few arrows right under the preview. Each arrow represents a node, each node a color. The nodes show exactly where the value will turn into that specific color before moving gradually to the next one. The minimum number of nodes is 2, but more nodes can be added by tapping the area right under the gradient. To remove the nodes, either drag the arrow away or tap on the bin icon located next to the arrows. Nodes can be selected by tapping on the arrows and moving them to a different point by dragging them. Alternatively, once the node has been selected, the position can be changed by tapping a number between 1 to 100, or by tapping on the arrow next to the text box and dragging the slider. The gradient can be inverted by tapping on the icon next to the bin. The color of each node can be changed to the current main or sub color, or to specific colors. All these options are readily available in the color section of the gradient map dialog window. An interesting option is the mixing rate curve. Enable it by tapping on a node and checking the mixing rate curve box. Use it to customize the transition between two nodes, for example by smoothing it out or making it harsher. Mixing mode helps fine-tune the rendering method applied to the gradient map. Selecting Perceptual allows you to change the brightness correction in the drop-down menu from off to high. The last option available is the Gradient Set section. You can select a set from the drop-down menu and then select a specific gradient from the list. Once a gradient is selected, it can be rearranged by tapping the arrows on the right. Tapping on the wrench icon will open a context menu with several options to manage and import gradients and sets. The bottom part of this section shows different icons that let us replace the selected gradient from the list with the current gradient, load the selected gradient, duplicate the selected gradient, add a new gradient, or delete it. How to edit a gradient map? Now that we understand the gradient map dialog window, let's see how to edit a gradient map. First, tap on a node and select a color. Then select another node, or create a new one and change their respective color. Once a gradient starts to look like what we have in mind, we can fine-tune it by sliding each node left or right. To get a natural look, I recommend picking darker colors for the nodes placed towards the left side and increasingly brighter ones as we add nodes to the right. Once we are happy with the overall look of the gradient, we can use the mixing rate curve to make adjustments to some of the sections. Remember to keep an eye on the preview to make sure that every shade changes nicely, as changing the illustration with the gradient maps can make the colors look off. Examples. Finally, let's take a look at some examples of how to creatively use this powerful tool. It can be used to turn an illustration in black and white, or adjust the saturation by changing the blending mode to color and changing the opacity. To change the color temperature of an image, or just to add more color contrast. We can change the time of the day from day to night, or use multiple gradient maps on specific layers to add more separation between each element of the illustration. These are just a few examples, but we can always be creative and find new ways to use this powerful tool. With these examples, we have reached the end of the video. Hopefully gradient maps will become part of your workflow. But most importantly, hopefully you will find new and creative ways to use them. If you liked this video, please leave a thumbs up, a comment, and subscribe to the official Clip Studio Paint channel for more videos like this. Thank you for watching.